Hi, welcome to lesson on PEMDAS, the order of operations, which we will be covering the week after everything fractions. So there's quite a bit to untangle with fractions because you had mixed fractions, you had improper fractions. So I wanted to give you enough time to do this, but I'm pre-recording this so that I will have the lesson for the order of operations. Okay, here we go. So the order of operations is going to include integers, exponents, parentheses, all of that stuff. So I outlined it right here. Integers, exponents, and parentheses are fundamental components of algebra, mainly pre-algebra, okay? If you're in the 6th and 7th grade here. Integers are whole numbers, positive, negative, or zero, okay? Exponents indicate repeated multiplication of a base number. So if you look here, when I define exponents, like 2 to the third is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Parentheses group numbers or operations to be evaluated first on PEMDAS rules. So parentheses are these things. You know these things on the keyboard? These are parentheses. So PEMDAS, the order here, the order math is ordering you to solve what is in between these two curved things, symbols on the keyboard. But when you write it with your pen, they're curved, right? These are the parentheses. They get the first order. You must solve what is in between these two little symbols. Okay. Again, let's reiterate the definition of integers. Integers are all positive and negative whole numbers, including 0. So -3, -2, -1, go on. So from there all the way, right? Keep going, -0, and then all the positive numbers are integers as well. Exponents, another word for that, is powers. An exponent tells you how many times to multiply the base number. So in this case, 2 is the base number, as you can see. And see the little 3 in the corner? That's your exponent or your power. So you could say 2 to the third power, or 2 to the third. An exponent tells you how many times to multiply the base number by itself, like I just said. 2 to the third power will be 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Anytime you have a 0 exponent, that base number becomes 1. So here, any non-zero number raised to the power of 0 is 1. Negative exponents so a negative exponent indicates the reciprocal of the base. So let's say I had 2 to the -1. So a little -1 in the corner, like that power 2 to the -1 would become the reciprocal of the base, which essentially 2 becomes the denominator, and you put that 1 on top, making it 1/2. So 2 to the -1 is 1/2, a half. So ordering and calculations, PEMDAS, exponents are handled after parentheses follow the order and before multiplication. So I developed this little acronym chart here. So many smells outside. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. PEMDAS. A lot of people, if you grew up in the 90s, I'm assuming if you grew up in the 80s, there was this acronym that said, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." I never even cared to use it because, frankly, I don't find it that fascinating. I find it drab. I think of PEMDAS and I remember it right away. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. That's just how my brain works. So if PEMDAS works for you, roll with it. But if you need to do, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," to remember PEMDAS, go right ahead. But you need to remember that the order of operations is always going to be parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Okay, so the next slide here is I gave some examples that you can try out on your own, which I would like you to do in this lesson. So I believe I labeled this for the first week of April. No, because we are going to be covering fractions that week. I'm trying to think about it. Oh, I wanted to begin the end of the week with order operations. So I'm going to keep the date on that. So you need to watch this video at the end of the week. Your worksheets are the preceding week. But if you're watching this video at the end of the week, you do have to write these questions down and solve them. So I can go ahead and do the first one with you. So see if I can create a text box here. Insert text box and do this number 1 with you, okay? So if we have 10 times 2 plus 3. Now, since we're in Microsoft Office, we have to go to the lovely special characters to include the division sign. Okay. Divide. Divided by 2 equals. Okay, here we are. Just ignore, they automatically put the answer for you. Please, sure, a calculator would do that. And the point home here is, in high school, yes, your teacher's going to have you use the calculator. Before you use that Texas Instrument, please just don't grab that calculator yet, because I really need you to get the fundamentals of how you get this answer. Okay? And sometimes if you don't do PEMDAS and you go ahead and plug this in the calculator, you are going to get the wrong answer, because the calculator is not equipped all the time. Like, let's say you forget a parentheses, you will get a wrong answer. So take the time and do the steps. So what is the first step with PEMDAS? P, parentheses. So we have to figure out what is in the parentheses. So 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, so I know that's 5. So let's go ahead. I'm going to label that so you can see here. 2 plus 3 equals 5. Okay? Now, what comes next? So let's write this out. Sometimes it's good to write the little acronym above so you can see that you're doing this right. So I did parentheses first. Is there exponents? No. Multiplication? Yes, there is. And you're always going to solve left to right. So multiplication is over here. So I have to do 10 now times whatever is in that parentheses. 10 times 2. Oop, not 2. Let's look at 10 times 5. Okay, and let's keep it in parentheses just because to respect to the what we just figured out. 10 times 5, and then you had the divided by 2, but I don't want to get the symbol. Just put divided by 2. You get what I'm saying here. 10 times 5, which would be 50. And then lastly, you have division after multiplication. So it would be 50 divided by 2 equals, what's 50 divided by 2? It's 25. So 25 is the answer. Okay, so let's break this apart, what I just did here. Again, PEMDAS, parentheses, 2 plus 3 was what was in the parentheses, and we know that 2 plus 3 is 5. We then had to go to the next order of operation, which was multiplication, because we had a multiplication sign here when reading the problem left to right. So then we went 10 times 5, and we got 50. Then you had the next order of operation after multiplication is division. So we had to do 50 divided by 2 is 25. I think there might be like a dog around here. Sometimes, the dog can, I don't know, it stinks. Okay, so 50 divided by 2 is 25. So 25 is your correct answer. So I am not going to do every question for you. This is where I want you to use your critical thinking skills. You're memorizing the PEMDAS formula, okay, to solve the rest of the questions. And I want you to write them in your notes so I can collect those and that you can do that. And in the next lesson, after you cover PEMDAS for a week, we are going to be covering surface area of a rectangular prism. But please do not worry your mind with that. Focus on one thing at a time. So you did fractions, but I really want you to focus this week on PEMDAS, the order of operations. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Okay, I know that was a lot to take in, but I know you can do this and you got this. I'll see you later. Bye.